Hi everyone, this is Sarah again from Japan, and today I'd just like to continue reading out of the book of Matthew. Today we are reading out of Matthew 13, so please open your Bibles and follow along with me. Okay, today we're going to start in the parable of the sower. On the same day Jesus went out of the house and sat by the sea. On the same day Jesus went out of the house and sat by the sea. All right, and great multitudes were gathered together to him, so that he got into a boat and sat. And the whole multitude stood on the shore. So that's a lot of people. I mean, he had to get into a boat. Then he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Some fell on stony places, where they did not have much earth, and they immediately sprang up, because they had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell on good ground and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. You notice Jesus said this in the last chapter too. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. So those who are going to listen, listen up, he says, okay? So let's look at the purpose of the parables. So Jesus explains in the next few phrases what those parables mean. What are the parables of the seeds? And the disciples came to him and said, Why do you speak to them in parables? Stories, parable stories. He answered and said to them, Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For whoever has, to him more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear. That's like many of us now in this generation. We see things, but we don't want to believe. Our spirits are not open up to seeing, and understanding. And our ears, we hear, but we don't listen. Okay, and so we don't comprehend, because we don't want to. Our hearts are hardened. As long as your heart is hardened, you can't learn anything, you can't, be taught. So have a soft heart, okay? So again, therefore I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled, which says, and this is the book of Isaiah here, Hearing you will hear and shall not understand, and seeing you will see and not perceive. For the hearts of this people have grown dull. They have grown dull, okay? So has your heart grown dull? Is it open or is it shut? For the hearts of this people have grown dull. Their ears are hard of hearing and their eyes have closed, lest they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their hearts and turn. See, if you listen and you hear and you see and you can turn away from what you're doing and turn to the Lord. Okay, so that I should heal them. See, again, the Lord longs to heal you. He longs to set you free from your disease, and that disease is sin. Okay? But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and for your ears, for they hear. For assuredly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men desired to see what you see, and did not see it, and hear what you hear, and did not hear it. See, once again, prophets and righteous men, people who are esteemed as wise, want to see, want to understand what you understand, but their hearts are not ready to receive what you are receiving, is what he's saying, okay? So again, you have to have a humble heart. Is your heart humble, is the question. Humble, soft, proud, hard, okay? The parable of the sower explained. Therefore, hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, then the wicked one being Satan, comes and snatches it away what was sown in his heart. This is he who received the seed by the wayside. But he who received the seed on stony places, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself. He has no root in himself. He has no foundation. Okay? He's like this, I don't know, that willowy brush that brushes across the desert, those big balls that you see on TV. When the wind hits it, they just go like that. Are you like that? Okay? Right? He has no root in himself, but endures for only a while. For when tribulation and persecution arises because of the word, because of his belief, as soon as people start persecuting him because of what he believes, immediately he stumbles. Now he who received seed among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the cares of this world and deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. So there are those of us who hear the word of the Lord and receive it and are, and understand it to a certain degree, but then we get distracted, okay, by the cares of this world, and we get deceived by the riches, by wanting to go after riches. Okay, and that chokes the word that is in us, okay, that chokes the truth that is in us, and we become unfruitful. But he who received seed on the good ground is he who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit. So if you're not bearing fruit, this is something you better check yourself, okay? And produces some 100-fold, like a crop, okay? So if you're producing fruit, not only is this person producing fruit, but he's producing it's multiplying. Some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. The parable of the wheat and the tares. Okay, so the parable of the wheat and the tares here. This is for the Christians mostly. Okay, for those of us who call ourselves Christians and follow after Christ. Okay, there are true Christians and there are fake Christians, and the true Christians are the wheat. And the fake ones, which were planted by the evil one, their job is to trip the rest of us up, and deceive the church. They're the tares, or the weeds. Tares, weeds, okay? Another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while the man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Okay, the enemy being Satan again. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? If you sowed good seed, why do we have weeds growing among our wheat? And he said to them, An enemy has done this. The servant said to him, Do you want us then to go and gather them up? But he said, No, lest while you gather the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Okay, so if God just takes out the tares now, okay, then the true wheat might get damaged in the process. So he lets us kind of remain together for the time being, okay? Let both grow together until the harvest. The harvest meaning when Jesus comes back and he gathers up his people. And at the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, First gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. The parable of the mustard seed. Okay, mustard seed. This is a really cool parable, actually. The mustard seed is just like really tiny. I don't know if you've ever seen a mustard seed, but it's the smallest of all seeds. It's just really tiny, okay? Another parable he put forth to them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all the seeds. But when it is grown, it is greater than the herbs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches. It's massive. It produces a massive plant, is what he's saying. So what is the parable, what is the meaning behind the mustard seed then? Okay? The parable of the leaven. Another parable he spoke to them. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, or leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal until it was all leavened. Okay? Leaven is like yeast, okay, and it balloons everything up. Okay? Prophecy and the parables. All these things Jesus spoke to the multitudes in parables, and without a parable he did not speak to them, because they don't understand without a parable, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables. So it was said of Christ that he would do this way before he was born, okay, spoken by prophets that were alive like 800 years before he even came. Okay? I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things kept secret from the foundations of the world. So Jesus opens up the secrets of the world, okay? The foundations of it and everything, okay? The parable of the tares explained. Okay? Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples said to him, saying, Explain to us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said to them, He who sows the good seed is the Son of Man, or the good seed meaning the word, the truth. The seed is the truth, okay? The gospel, okay, of salvation. That's the good seed. And he who sows that is the Son of Man, Jesus Christ himself, okay? The field is the world, and the good seeds are the sons of the kingdom. That's you and I who are believers, and if you don't believe, please call on the name of Jesus and ask to be saved, because you really need him in your life, okay? So, but the tares are the sons of the wicked one. Okay, the wicked one being Satan. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age. Okay, we're in the last days, in case you haven't noticed. Okay, and we'll talk more about that later. I'd like to do a couple videos on that as well, about why I know we're in the end. Okay, in the end times that was prophesied very long ago. Okay, but we are in the end times. That's the harvest. Right now the harvest is very close. Okay. Alright, so the Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness. Oh, let me back up. Sorry. Okay, verse 39. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end age, and the reapers are the angels. The reapers are the gatherers. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, the weeds are burned in the fire because they're no good, so it will be at the end of the age. So all those who follow Satan, the devil, will end up in the fire, okay? The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all the things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness. Okay, there's a lot of lawlessness going on if you haven't noticed. All right, that's one of the signs we know that it's becoming the end of time, okay? Time is almost up, okay? And it will cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Okay, and there's an exclamation mark there, okay? So, the parable of the hidden treasure. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and hid. And for joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Okay? So the kingdom of heaven, people who recognize what it truly is will give up everything for it, because it is the true treasure that doesn't rot or rust, or it's not stolen, okay? So this guy, he finds this treasure in the field, and he realizes, the value of it. So he goes and sells everything he has so that he can buy that field, because what's in that field is more valuable than what he already has, okay? And the same is with heaven, okay? Heaven is more valuable than anything we could ever, accumulate. So in order to get this treasure that is heaven, that is eternal life in heaven, we need to be willing to give up that which is not as worthy, is not as good as it, okay? And that's, if you think about it, that's a pretty good deal. We give up that which is not worth as much to get something greater. That's a good deal. The parable of the pearl of great price. Okay, again, this is verse 45. Chapter 13. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, it's like the treasure in the field, okay? The parable of the dragnet. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet that was cast into the sea and gathered some of every kind, which, when it was full, they drew to shore. And they sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but threw the bad away. So, it's like a dragnet that catches all the fish, and all the good fish are kept, and all the bad ones are thrown away. Okay, so that's like what the kingdom of heaven is like. All the good Christians, you don't have to be good as in works, but all believing Christians will be gathered as good, and all the ones who don't believe, all those who follow Satan, those are the bad ones, and they're going to be thrown out. Okay? So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come forth, separate the wicked from among the just, and cast them into the furnace of fire. Again, Jesus talks about fire again. Hell, fire. Okay? Notice that Jesus talks a lot about hell. Yeah. So, maybe we ought to be paying attention then. All right? There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay, now there's some pastors out there who will try to tell you, there's no such thing as hell. Well, you've heard me talk about hell in Jesus' words. They're in red all throughout from Matthew, I think starting in Matthew 4, all the way till now, okay, I've been talking about hell, and Jesus himself has been talking about hell fire, and there's wailing and gnashing of teeth, okay? So it's not just, there is a hell. And some other preachers will tell you, oh, it's just separation from Christ. It's like nothingness, really. Then why does it say furnace of fire? Okay? Anyway, Jesus said to them, verse 51, have you understood all these things? And they said to him, yes, Lord. Then he said to them, therefore every scribe instructed concerning the kingdom of heaven is like a householder who brings out of his treasure things new and old. Jesus rejected at Nazareth. Verse 53, now it came to pass when Jesus had finished these parables that he departed from there. When he had come to his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, so that they were astonished and said, where does this man get his wisdom and these mighty works? Is this not the carpenter's son? So he went back to his hometown and started preaching, right? And they said, well, who is this guy? Isn't he the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother called Mary? And his brothers James, Joseph, Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all these things? And they were offended by him, because they thought he was just a commoner like they were. But then Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor except in his own country and in his own house. That can be true. Some great people are not respected among their own people. Now, he did not do mighty works there because of their unbelief. So he couldn't do anything there for them. He didn't do mighty works there. So, like again, with the healing and stuff, all those instances, all those people had faith. Because they had faith in what he could do and who he was, he could work with that faith, and through that faith he healed them. But he could not do mighty works in his own town because they didn't believe. They didn't have faith in him. Okay? I'm going to wrap that up for now, and I hope to talk to you all later. Bye. I hope you are blessed in Yeshua's name. See you next time. Bye.